Hello, everyone, and greetings. My name is Brandon Kyle. I'm the Director of Alumni and Family Engagement, and just thank you so much for joining us today for this virtual welcome for new and incoming families of the class of 2024 and the class of 2025. On behalf of the entire Office of Alumni and Family Engagement and Pitzer College, I just want to extend our heartfelt appreciation to you and your student, and to express our excitement in that we get to welcome you to our community this fall. And while some of you will be joining us having experienced a year of Pitzer remotely, we recognize this is a special moment for you as well. And we're incredibly excited to have you experience campus life at Pitzer. It has definitely been a journey to get here, but we are thrilled to know that your students have selected Pitzer as their place of learning, their place of growth, their place to uncover their mission-driven passions. In addition, one of the greatest things about this journey is that you as a family member are also considered an active and vital member of our community. So this journey belongs to you as well. And there are many ways to be involved as a parent and family ambassador here at Pitzer, ranging from supporting student scholarships to expressing interest in joining our Family Leadership Council. Please keep in mind that on August 16th through the 19th, our office will be hosting a virtual family orientation as we lead up to Move-In Weekend on August 21st and 22nd. During that week, you will get to hear from a variety of staff and faculty ranging from athletics to academic support to student wellness, and even hear from a few of our student, alumni, and parent ambassadors, including a special greeting from our co-presidents of the Family Leadership Council and Pitzer College President Melvin Oliver. All webinars will be recorded in case you miss any of our live sessions and will be available at Pitzer at Home on demand immediately following the event. You can access Pitzer at Home from the main Pitzer College webpage. Now, while move-in weekend this year will primarily be focused on preparing for a safe move-in process, my team will be hosting the Family Engagement Hospitality Lounge as a reprieve and a place to build community and learn more ways about getting involved. While many of you have received this information, we will be sharing a link to Summer Welcomes for Families webpage immediately following this call, as well as important links regarding student orientation and move-in weekend as well. So be sure to share your contact information with us just as a way to stay updated, which you can do actually by emailing us at engagement@pitzer.edu. Now, today we have invited 3 members of our college's executive leadership team to share insights into their areas and to provide a glimpse into the year ahead, after which we will take questions from our viewers today, as well as a few common inquiries that came in through the registration portal. You can enter your questions by clicking the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. And so with that being said, today we have with us Jim Marchant, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Community Relations, Alan Omoto, Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty, and Sandra Vasquez, Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students. So up first, we will hear from Jim Marchant about the college's priorities, Pitzer core values, and the strategic plan. Thanks, Jim.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you are now joined the Pitzer community. And I wish we were together in person. I know we all wish that were the case, but thankfully in a few weeks, many of you will be here to help your students move in, so we'll get to see you in person. And since my task today is talk about college priorities and plans, I can say that without a doubt, our most important and immediate priority is to safely bring students and eventually our entire community back to campus this semester. That's the way Pitzer is meant to be experienced, in person. So I've been fortunate to work here at the college for 26 years as of next week, and I've been working in a variety of capacities. I've been here so long now that obviously it was before your students were even born, most of them, but 2 of our former students are now tenured faculty members here at Pitzer. Another former student that worked with me in the late 90s actually admitted your students to the college, Yvonne Baruman, our Vice President for Admission and Financial Aid. So I have a little history here, and I could talk forever about Pitzer and our history, but I want to talk a little more about our plans and our future. And so right now I'm involved with strategic planning for the college. And in true Pitzer fashion, it's not just me, it's a team of people. In fact, it's the whole community that are involved with strategic planning at the college. We know that many of you and your students in particular were drawn to Pitzer because of our institutional values. We're at the center. What we do right now is critical in the world, especially the last few years. I think people recognize that, so we're thankful that people come to Pitzer for those reasons, but we don't want to lose sight of those. So real quickly, if you are not familiar with our core values, I just want to touch on them. And they are social responsibility, which in essence is the ethical implications of knowledge and action, taking responsibility to make the world better. Intercultural understanding, which is now more important than ever. We educate our students to thrive and succeed in an ever-changing global community so they reflect on their experiences and study other cultures from different perspectives. Interdisciplinary learning. We encourage our students to explore different areas of interest and ideas, to challenge traditional ways of learning, and to make connections between different topics and fields. And of course, student engagement. Our curriculum and student life programs are designed to help students get involved and become active in the classroom, on campus, and in the community. Many of our students are also involved with college governance. They help make decisions from academic policies to faculty hiring to the future priorities of the college, which again, I'll talk a little more about with strategic planning. And finally, another critical core value, which is in the news every day now, is environmental sustainability. It's understanding the importance of and preserving the environment. It's at the forefront of everything we do here in campus life and academic life here at the college. This plays out in numerous ways, both on and off campus for our students. And of course, the beautiful campus behind me and behind some of my colleagues is evidence of that. Our drought tolerant landscape is our evidence or commitment to environmental sustainability at the college. And of course, our mission, which is to produce socially engaged citizens of the world, helps guide us through everything we do, thick or thin, here at Pitzer. And this was really clear and very evident, during the pandemic. And while we missed having students on campus, for the past year and a half, we've come out of it even stronger and better as a community, which, leads me to our strategic plan, which we started to develop before the pandemic. In fact, we finished the plan itself. We started to implement it. And thankfully, even during the pandemic and during the disruption that it brought to our campus, we were able to start implementing several important key elements of the plan. And I'll talk briefly about the 4 pillars within our plan, and they are academic resources and planning. We're working to broaden the interdisciplinary landscape and to expand academic resources to better equip students to engage holistically with the complex problems of our world. We want to build a thriving community. Our goal is to advance a college-wide sense of community engagement, to cultivate an environment where students, faculty, and staff all thrive. Financial sustainability of the college is critical. We want to strengthen our commitment to financial sustainability, to promote broader access to Pitzer education, and to be adaptable and flexible to the evolving landscape in higher education and in the world economy. And then planning and decision-making. Again, a lot of this ties back to strategic planning. We want to enhance the culture of inclusive, intentional, and transparent planning and decision-making here at the college. So as our academic year approaches, we're renewing our commitment to our strategic plan. It's going to be a guide for us, again, as we enter the academic year. And I think it's kind of a nice coincidence that our strategic plan was a 5-year plan. It's been extended a little bit, but it's going to coincide nicely during the time that your students are here with us at the college. If you have any interest at all in strategic planning, feel free to visit our website. There's a whole section on it. You can look up our core values and the way that they unite with our community as well. So I'm happy to meet all of you. I hope to meet you in person soon. Enjoy the rest of the program, and I'll turn it over to Brandon at this time.
Thanks so much, Jim. So up next, we have Alan Emoto, Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Brandon. Good morning, everybody. Good morning here in California. Anyway, I want to welcome all of you and your students' families to Pitzer College. As Brandon said, I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs, and that means that I oversee all of the academics of the college. I work closely with the faculty and then by extension, your students on their academic plans and programs, our curriculum, but also a lot of our supporting and co-curricular offerings from study abroad to student support through the Writing Center, for example, and the Redbird Conservancy and our Community Engagement Center, to name a few of those areas. So I have the best job at Pitzer because I get to see the biggest picture of our academic mission here and to help keep that moving forward and to stay coordinated. We are obviously coming out of a pandemic, and I will say or echo part of Jim's comments that first of all, we are coming out feeling pretty good about how we have weathered this storm and so far, and super excited to be coming back to campus. The faculty at Pitzer College are here because they love teaching and they love seeing student development at the critical period of time that we're talking about for your students, and have missed not being able to interact with students in person, let alone with the rest of the community, the other faculty and the staff. So we know that it's a we're not out of the woods by any means at this point, but that we are excited to be coming back and know that we will need to do that carefully, but it is with a great deal of anticipation and excitement that we are moving forward with having people back on campus. The other thing that Jim mentioned that I will return to a little bit here is our core values. Those core values were critical for us in this last year in how we navigated the challenges of remote learning. That was, again, not our first choice or second choice for how we do education, but it was what we were forced to do. And remote learning presented a number of different challenges. I know that for some of you here, as you're in, had a whole year of remote learning with us. But our core values helped us as an institution to navigate those really challenging spaces around core values and questions and issues related to equity and access, and how we would change and did change our expectations about student engagement and forms of engagement. And I'm bringing this up now because the core values are guiding us not only in the past, but as we go forward. And some of the lessons that we learned in the pandemic and the ways of solving problems that we didn't even know we had problems around will go forward for us. And I think that as an academic institution, not only do we have our traditions and history of what we have long done, but now a lot of new tools and new perspectives from the pandemic that will help us strengthen the educational experience for your students and position them to be successful beyond Pitzer College. So that is all a way of saying kind of where we are sitting at this moment. I will say a couple of things about the fall. We are anticipating in-person instruction with students living on campus and our faculty in the classroom. There may be a few rare exceptions to that, but we are aiming toward that right now, and we'll do that in line with public health dictates and mandates for having people in closed spaces. Our curriculum is also set up with and in conjunction with the other undergraduate colleges here in Claremont. And so the other issue here, or part of that issue, is that as we make the decisions about our curriculum and our way forward, it is always with the coordination of the other colleges. Your students, if they've been in the colleges before, know that they move seamlessly across colleges. For the incoming students and your incoming students, that's something that they will soon find out, that the undergraduate colleges, the students move through them seamlessly for their curricular offerings, through their social activities, and our sporting teams. So the planning for this academic year is taking place across the colleges, and we are all planning for in-person instruction and for making available classes across the consortium for our students. I'm saying that because there'll be a different answer for this issue when it comes to dining, but for classes, we will have the fluidity that we have always had in supporting the curriculum for students and students moving across classes at the colleges. Going forward for this coming year, let me just touch on a couple of exciting things for us that are related to academics, certainly. This last year, as I said, we found out new ways of, and I think came pretty darn close to perfecting new ways of doing community engagement with our students, sort of extending it, broadening it, extending it that way, but also deepening it in terms of working in a lot of one-on-one spaces with community members, but also community engagement that was related to political action. And given the last year's election, those are initiatives and that will be continuing, but also growing and expanding in this coming year through our Community Engagement Center. Another of our initiatives last year that was important for the period of time that we were in, but also our campus values, was a racial justice initiative. That racial justice initiative involved panels, guest speakers in classes, course development for faculty and modules around equity, racial equity issues. And that we will be, and included also special art presentations and production for students. We'll be continuing with the Racial Justice Initiative and expanding that in the coming year. And now with students in person gives us a lot of opportunities to do that in a new and different way from how it has been done in the past. That concern about equity and justice, social justice, is a core value for Pitzer College, and we will be continuing with the Racial Justice Initiative this next year. We have become also a leader among the Claremont colleges in our justice education initiatives, and those will be continuing in the coming year and expanding. Our Redford Conservancy will also have a lot of new programming on the docket for the coming year that will involve students in sustainability and environmental justice work in the Claremont area, and some activism and advocacy around bringing science about environment to public policy and social issues. And then the last thing I will say is in the sciences, some of you may know that we are right before, when the pandemic hit, we were on the precipice of breaking ground for a new science building that we are building in partnership with Scripps College. We are right now fully expecting to be able to go forward with that project, likely breaking ground during this academic year. We've had to go back and do some repricing and so on for the build now after a year or a year and a half. But that will go forward, that project will go forward, and that we look forward to a beautiful new science building by the time or before your students graduate from Pitzer College. So our commitment to our sciences is strong, and we are stepping up on that front with new facilities. And in the last year, despite everything else that was happening, we also made some successfully made some new hires of faculty for our sciences program. So I will stop there just as a kind of more high level view of where we are going forward. Your students will be, first year students will be having registration in starting next week. Some registration sessions begin. They'll be meeting with their faculty advisors in mid-August, and then registering on August 16th and 17th. If our continuing students, for those in their second year, they can go to the portal and make changes to their registration if they would like. But our courses will be ready to go by August 30th. And I look forward to welcoming the students back in person and to meeting you on our campus. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Alan. We're all looking forward to being able to welcome them to campus. It's going to be a really great weekend and a great year ahead. Thanks. Let's see, up next we have Sandy Vasquez, Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students.
Hi, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be able to join you. I wish I could see you, but I hope that you can feel the excitement that we all share in being able to engage with you in this space. As some of the students have been arriving for early arrival, we have approximately 150 to 60 student leaders that are so excited and committed to be able to come early to help plan for the welcoming and arrival of your students. It is a great joy to be able to see students coming onto campus. And for them, there's nothing greater or more important than to help launching forward with ideas on helping your students feel embraced into the community and experience a wonderful orientation experience. I wanted to share with you all a little bit about some of the priorities within the Division of Student Affairs. I wanted to point out to you a website called Pathway Forward. If you haven't seen it already, this is really the centralized hub where you can find updates. I'm going to put it in the chat here. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, here we go. Where you can find updates regarding our return to campus plans. There's also information about our policies, our community agreement that you can find there, and expectations for students. We've been working on addressing common questions that are emerging from students. We have a platform on there through the frequently asked questions called Ask Cecil. And so given the fluidity, I can share with you, in Los Angeles County and in the nation around masking, we at Pitzer, as just an example, have never lifted our masking policy. And so we continue to stay the course in following best recommended practices from Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. And so I want to make sure, just to remind you, that if there's a question around, whatever is going on nationally or even locally, any current policies will be on that website. And if something should shift and there should be a major policy change, we typically also follow up with an email. We also, in student affairs, like to hold live Instagram sessions that we hope to continue into the future as well. One of the things I want to share with you that we are so proud of is that we are at 90% full vaccine completion from our students. That is remarkable. Again, our students continue to amaze me. They came together and put together, mindful of each other as our guiding ethos and compass that will really carry us through the semester as well. The conversations that we're having with students now they're so conscientious that they want to make sure that they do everything possible to make sure they protect the remainder of our community of staff and faculty here at the Claremont colleges. We are working very closely around the clock for planning to support our students with quarantine and isolation. With easy testing access, we want it to be a norm for students that if they need or feel for whatever reason that they would like to be proactive to get access to a test, that they will have that access. And so know that they will continue to receive information and updates as it becomes available. We are preparing updates for fall return to campus to them that will then be reflected on the website as well. I did want to share with you that we're also working very closely with different campus partners to coordinate the support for early arrival for those students who are coming from international destinations that, because of access and equity, we're not able to get access to the vaccine in their home country. However, we are fully supporting them for their safe return to campus, for their housing and meal support, and access to the vaccine and quarantine support. As you could imagine, if and when a student does go into quarantine or isolation, we are prepared to provide support that is holistic, coordinated support in relation to also meal access, laundry, mental health and well-being. We are so grateful that we also have the additional resource of a great partner in Nurse River Santee from Hamilton Health Box here on campus as well. I did want to share with you that we are actively working on our plans for orientation. We are only one of 2 campuses that will continue the rich tradition of orientation adventure this orientation. And the students are beyond thrilled about that. It is one of the signature highlights of the experience. And there will be alternative options for hybrid opportunities for students who maybe want to stay behind and stay on campus and have that more local experience as well. We also will be launching a sophomore year experience. Our sophomore class is a class that is very near and dear for all of us. All of our departments are actively planning to ensure that we also prioritize their experience. And our career services department has really launched forward in taking the lead in building a sophomore year experience that is meaningful and purposeful for them. Our team is also working closely on our ongoing class-based co-curriculum, where we have partnerships with different departments where we have outcomes-oriented based programs, events, and initiatives. Our goal here is to really have purposeful and meaningful student life experiences that also ground them to our core values, their personal passion and interest of exploration, but also strong bonds and connection to the greater community. And so students will be able to see more updates and information and communications from those groups. Also, within the first 6 weeks of classes, students can expect what we call our weeks of welcome. Before the pandemic, we had launched those initiatives for 2 years, and they were very well received in partnership with departments at the Claremont colleges, but also here at Pitzer. And let me just point out some of the signature events that students can expect, and that is our student resource fair, where all major student-facing resources and services will come and be able to engage one-on-one with students, help them register for opportunities or promoting upcoming signature events and programs. We also hope during that time to launch initial signature events and programs throughout the college and feature them as part of that onboarding welcome. Also a job fair for students and actively helping students who plan to work on campus to be able to successfully navigate that process and connect with individuals who are going to be hiring across departments. I know there was a question about engagement with the Claremont colleges. We plan to resume our traditional 5C events and programs, where we have a rotation where each campus will host signature events and programs. Pitzer will be hosting the first one, which intentionally by design we will be having mid-September. And that will be what has historically been known as our turf event, where all of the 5C clubs and organizations will be hosting, if you could imagine, different tables so that students can come and learn about opportunities to get engaged at the 5C level. It is always a fun and well-attended event by students. And again, it's about fostering those connections, those relationships. There may be, clubs and organizations that may relate to their major of study or their area of interest, or even just something that brings them great joy, which is wonderful. And so we are very much looking forward to that. Our sister campuses are very much looking forward to that. We are committed to working with our campus partners to ensure that we honor our guiding principles of hosting safe events and programs that are shared. Now, one aspect that I know that has been a question earlier on in the summer has been around crossover dining. In relation to dining services, each campus will be hosting their own dining services for each of their respective campuses. We at Pitzer here, this information is not yet public. It will be made public soon. We'll be allowing dining at this point, anticipated indoor dining for our students in McConnell. We also anticipate having continuous dining so that the dining hall will remain open, and during the period where the major hot meals are served in between that time period, there'll be the cold, sandwich stations that students can come and access those types of meals or snacks. Also, we will be having late night shakedown hours. We will still resume. The students love the Pit Stop Cafe. There'll be to-go services. We'll also have enhanced furniture outdoors for dining for students who may not be quite ready to eat indoors but want to eat outside. We'll also provide blankets accessible to students to eat on the lawn, as we know that life on the mounds is another one of those signature experiences for students, that's just a hub for them where they like to sit amongst friends. And so while we will not be having crossover dining this semester, we as Pitzer have been the first campus that has shared with our sister campuses that we are eager and ready to resume crossover dining pending guidance in spring semester. I did want to share with you that our Residence Life team also has been working very hard to work around the clock for the planning of the return and move-in and selection of students. They've done an extraordinary job also being mindful of all of the moving pieces and considerations Our first year and sophomore year students will be living on campus for the most part. And we're very excited about that. We also are aware that coming back on the heels of the pandemic and racial injustice experienced in our nation, mental health and well-being is a priority, and we're further enhancing fitness support as well to students, enhancing our intentional partnership with Pomona Pitzer Athletics. As you know, the Rain Center is under construction, and so we will see enhanced partnerships on campus. Our student athletes are, majority of them returning early, having not been able to practice or compete for so long. We're really excited to welcome them early to campus here within the next few days so that they can resume their active engagement. And, we understand how, meaningful the experience for student athletes is in working with the strong bond within their teams and representing Pitzer in their athletic competition. And lastly, we're also working to plan for enhanced academic support services for our students in partnership with Academic Affairs. So I know that there's a lot on the chat here, and I'm happy, Brandon, to take your lead if we want to wait until we have the Q&A, or if you want me to try to go through them.
Yeah, I think we can probably launch into the Q&A portion. Thank you so much, Sandy. One of the common questions or inquiries that I'm seeing here is specifically about registration. So I just wanted to point out Alan's response to that. So new student registration across the colleges is actually scheduled for August 16th and 17th, with academic orientation beginning August 3rd. So I just wanted to make sure that was highlighted because I saw that earlier in the chat. So I think one of the first questions we have here is sort of just about collective vaccination and the results around that. So if someone says it's great work on 90% vaccination, do we know the percentage of vaccinations for the Claremont colleges as a whole?
I don't know that information as of right now.
So, let's see. Another question specifically.
Well, can I just add really quickly that
Yeah.
Our expectation across the colleges is that all students across the colleges will be vaccinated coming back. So we are all working collectively to get our students fully vaccinated.
Thank you, Alan. Let's see, so this one's specifically about orientation. For the beach camping orientation, will there be a specific packing list, or where can they get that general information about orientation adventure?
So there, let me find the website. Let's see. On the Pathway Forward website, there's a link that goes to new student orientation. So I will put that in the box. But here at Pitzer, we have an outdoor gear closet that is very well equipped with what students will need. So they don't have to worry about, bringing a tent or, everything will be provided that they will need in terms of equipment to attend. But I just put on there the link to the Pathway Forward linked out to the new student orientation where you can find more details.
Perfect. Let's see. And do we know if common places on campus like the Grove House, for example, will be open to students?
So one of the questions that students have been asking are, will they have access to club and organization space? Will they have access to be able to come and schedule a meeting with one of our offices? The answer is yes. We are planning, of course, the shift with the Grove House, you will not see dining in there this year. It really will likely be a space where students may be able to study. We're still working on, re-envisioning what would be a safe, accessible form for the Grove House. But in terms of club and organization space, absolutely. Students will be able to have access to those spaces, to study rooms as well.
So I think this question may be more directed to Alan. What would you say your faculty have learned over the pandemic having to instruct remotely that may have enhanced the learning experience for the classroom now that they're heading back to campus?
Sure, I'll try to make that brief because I think that there have been, I'll say, two major things that I think moving their teaching to remote formats really required faculty to think deeply and carefully about the learning objectives that they had for their classes, like to kind of stop and rethink a lot of classes they had been teaching and what is the core information that needed to be brought forward in those classes, and different formats for how to engage students around that class format. And so I think that focus on pedagogy and focus on the core course objectives was something that will come forward from the pandemic. And then the second thing that our faculty have always been approach their work with student success first and foremost. But I think that during the pandemic, what they also learned a lot about is the unique circumstances of our students, and really found ways to help meet students where they are to make academic progress. And so I think that learning in the remote environment led to a lot of learning about each other and interactions where there were opportunities for faculty to, I guess, go deeper or learn more about their student lives and what their particular worries, concerns, hopes, and dreams are related to their in any academic class, but also their education. So I think, and as a result, faculty made adjustments to their course requirements during the semester and did that in real time with students. There's been a lot more taking up of co-constructed education with our faculty and students. And I think that this responsiveness to students, but also thinking about the co-construction classes, is something that will also be, I'll be seeing that more and more as we come into the fall semester with students on campus.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, our faculty across the 5 Cs and Pitzer in specific expected to be vaccinated, and will those results generally be shared, sort of the statistics on the vaccinations?
So I will jump in, and we'll say, Jim can also jump in on this. So I will also say that a lot of the decision making for around COVID at Pitzer is done through a task force, which is our COVID task force, which is made up of faculty, students, and staff. But again, a lot of the decisions as they relate to the consortium are sort of a 2-layer process where we make a decision and then work on that with the Claremont colleges to make sure that we are continuing to hold hands as we go forward. Our expectation right now is that faculty and staff will also be vaccinated. We are at this moment reaching out to we have had a way for faculty and staff to enter their vaccination status in our system, and have been encouraging that. At this moment, we are reaching out to those who have not yet put their vaccination status or entered any information into our system to ask about where they are in that vaccination process. And I'm saying this because right now our faculty have not been on campus like your students for the last several months. And so we're now, like we have engaged students, engaging our faculty and staff to determine their vaccination status. And that is something that is happening across the colleges.
Thank you. And this one's mostly about parent orientation. I think I can take this one. So parent orientation will look very different than it has in the past. This year, our parent and family orientation will be virtual. So the focus around that is making sure that we are keeping a safe an environment for students in the move-in process during move-in weekend, both the 21st and 22nd. But my team will be there, very present. We're planning on having a hospitality lounge, campus tours, a lot of outdoor activities, and a few small receptions. But the programming, sort of that orientation piece specifically for families, will be taking place August 16th through the 19th through a variety of webinars that'll be widely accessible to parents and families and students across the globe. So we're really excited about that 4-day host of events. And then just sort of tailing off of that, there's another question specifically about Parents Weekend in the fall. So the family weekend for us typically is happening in the spring, has always traditionally happened in the spring. This year we are planning for an in-person family weekend. And that's planned for February 18th through the 20th of 2022. So we are very excited about that and just planning for that in person. If we have to pivot, we have experience in doing so, but we are really excited about the possibility of being able to bring our community back to campus. So we will be sending out some save the date information about that later this summer. But again, that is in the spring of each year. Let's see, so another question. Are there any plans on maintaining a sense of community for students who are living off campus this year, especially those who may not have ever lived on Central Campus?
So we will be having about maybe 160 students living at the Claremont Collegiate Apartments. We are actively working on student transportation enhancement of that support. We are working on getting more green bikes targeted for those students, as well as partnership with Claremont Dial-A-Ride, where students can have access, if they so choose, to have transportation curbside pickup to curbside drop-off here within the Claremont area, to the mall, which is in Montclair, or if for whatever reason they, there's Pomona Valley Hospital that they'll go to as well if they need access to resources around that area. We're also working on adding a zip car so that students can have access to that. And the shuttle that we're planning on coordinating will have a continuous route from Thursday evening through Saturday. And again, we're partnering with Student Senate in the design of when the schedule would be most critical for students. We recognize that there are students who study late at night. Maybe those are the peak times in which they might, go and work with friends on projects or work in a lab or work at, the library, or stay up late with group work with friends. Or they may want to get out and socialize in the village and want to be able to jump onto the shuttle and get a safe ride back to campus, or they might be working a late night job during the weekend. And so please know that we continue to work closely with our Student Senate and also our Student Services Operations Supervisor is working on extending that support. They will have access to events and programs on campus as well. And so they will have opportunities, as all other students do, to also engage in community.
Can you share some information about work study, when students might be able to find out about those kinds of opportunities?
Sure. And I will point out one more thing about the Claremont Collegiate Apartments is that we've added resident assistant staff, and also for the first time, we'll have a full-time live-in professional staff member that will be there as well and have coordinated programming support for students. In terms of work study, we are actively working with supervisors to work on planning for needs. All jobs will be posted on Handshake. So in some, yes, there will be work study and non-work study job opportunities. We don't want that by any means to be a barrier to any student who wishes to apply for employment. And so more updates will be forthcoming in the near future of, the process that we're hoping to streamline and make easier to navigate for students. That will be coming soon.
Okay. Then there was just a quick request for us to kind of restate our roles on campus. So my name is Brandon Kyle, Director of Alumni and Family Engagement. We have here Sandy Vasquez, who is our Vice President of Student Affairs, Alan Emoto, who is our Vice President of Academic Affairs, and Jim Marchant, who's our Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Community Relations. He's the one who's answering a lot of the Q&A portals behind the scenes, the questions behind the scenes. So thank you, Jim. Let's see.
And Brandon, there's a few questions about lodging for family. Can you or your staff type some links into some local hotels, or at least share a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think Brooke, I think you're still on the line. If you can type in our sort of hotels and lodging link to the webpage, that would be great. Okay. Let's see. Are there any activities planned for students on move-in day? Yes.
So as Brandon mentioned, there's going to be a hub, which is going to be a lounge where they can come in and access information about resources, about services, a self-care kit, also working on getting other tables set up where Student Senate can also engage with students as well. We're really designing that day for students to be able to have their time with their families, to be able to get settled, to get support with moving in. Especially with the heat, we want to be mindful of, not overloading or overwhelming them on such a busy day and just trying to focus on them getting settled in. They'll probably most likely meet their orientation leader guide, to help welcome them. But beyond that, there really are no formal, programming or, in terms of like required workshop or anything like that they would need to be a part of. So sometimes some families may take their student and take them out to eat, before they depart or, off campus or, go run a few errands in town. So it really, varies between families.
I'm going to also add on to Sandy's response in a slightly different way, and that is, we know that we have students coming to campus who have never been on Pitzer's campus before, 2 classes of them, and but Sandy and her office have been coordinating is weeks of welcome for us. So there is the intensive right at the beginning orientation for experience for students, but that for the next few weeks of the semester, we will be having lots of activities to help orient the students to campus and campus services. And there'll be a series of open houses across offices and also presentations about the different services and supports for students across campus. So I would encourage you to look at the website certainly, and also to look for that weeks of welcome, because we need to be attentive to how to help our students adjust to the new environment of Pitzer College.
Okay. Let's see. Can you describe generally what move-in day looks like from arrival to when parents leave? I think maybe Sandy and I can probably tag team this, but I'm going to actually start with including a link to the move-in schedule. And so again, this is slightly different because this is broken into different categories as far as it's an alphabetical order, about 2 hours or so to move in your student based on the grouping. And so once you click here, you'll be able to see the full schedule from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. There's an opportunity for 2 different meals sort of broken into those 4 categories. And then a host of sort of interactive outdoor experiences that families and students can take part in. But we also know that that's an opportunity to, take your student to lunch or, do the last minute errands, or students just connecting with other students who perhaps did not arrive with families to help with move-in. And so we wanted to make sure all of that was in a centralized place. And you can find a lot of that information right here in the link that I provided below. Sandy, am I missing anything there?
No, I think that's great. Again, usually that time with their parents and families for students is really important during the day. And again, they may see their orientation leader or guide. They'll probably see other leaders helping with move-in, with helping them push the orange carts around. We'll certainly be around as well. And then it's the late night where students, will be engaging with each other, usually with residence life staff. They'll be able to join their meetings, their kickoff social events and programs, so that they're not going to be alone, sitting in their room by themselves at night. They're going to launch forward with engaging in late night activities in the community. And so know that our residence life team is working on coordinating those initiatives and efforts, but also wanting to be respectful of, that important time with you all as they, you help them get settled into their room.
Perfect. And then I see a few questions about student athletes. And so once they're arriving on, I think next week, as early as next week, are there any activities planned for them or a welcome for them?
So each coach is working with all of their student teams to coordinate their move-in schedule and support systems. I know Miriam Merrill is not part of this session here, but any planned details, events, going on and activities really are geared towards a team-based support. And so I would recommend to connect with a coach, and if not, Miriam Merrill, who is our director of Pomona Pitzer Athletics.
Perfect. And then I want to also acknowledge Miriam, who's our AD of athletics, is also going to be hosting a session the week of August 16th via our virtual family orientation. So you'll have an opportunity to see her live, ask questions there, and also that'll be recorded and available at Pitzer at Home. Oh, thanks, Brooke. Let's see, so we'll take maybe one or two more questions. Let's see. You answered that. Are there any campus parties planned this semester for first year students and others that you can talk a little bit about?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, are there any sort of parties or activities planned for first year students and that you can talk a little bit about that are happening in the fall? Or throughout the year, really?
As I mentioned before, we are planning on tailoring events and programs. We have the first year experience seminar program. We have the sophomore year experience. But in terms of what is termed a party here at the campus, we have our 5C events and programs where each campus will rotate who hosts those. And those are open to all students. I can share with you that for our class-based co-curriculum, there will be a first year class-based model. There will be a sophomore year as well. And so those will have targeted programs, events, and initiatives geared towards those classes as well.
Okay.
And I do want to say that each class has a representative through Student Senate. And so we also very much believe in student-led development of events and programs. They're already, student leaders, as you can imagine, are so eager to be able to launch forward with how can we safely coordinate events and programs for our peers, and student leaders can expect through campus life that there will be an orientation on, how can we enhance support to safely provide those types of experiences for their peers in their classes.
And then some just for clarity, can we reiterate some of the parent events that are recommended or required to attend your move-in weekend? So I would say all recommended. Essentially, again, this orientation is looking a lot different than we've ever planned before. So virtual orientation for parents will be August 16th through the 19th, all online. And then move-in weekend will be primarily focused for the move-in process. So the hospitality lounge, which will be open the entire day, is really a place to gather, build community, learn new ways that you can be involved as a parent on campus, meet with our FLC members, and just sort of our ambassadors overall. We'll have alumni representatives there also there to engage with you and your student. And then we have two opportunities for meals for sort of the first grouping of those who are moving in at that noon hour. And then I believe at 4 o'clock, there's a secondary lunch. So there's multiple opportunities to be able just to engage with our community, but no specific planned programming for parents on campus for move-in weekend, all virtual August 16th through the 19th. We're really excited to be able to take those opportunities, quite honestly, to mix and mingle and build community together during those spaces. So if I would recommend anything, it would be to join us for those activities that are happening throughout the day for families and for students, both on campus. I think we have one, I'll take one more question. I think it was, let's see. So seniors and juniors left school quickly when we went into shutdown, with many of them leaving refrigerators, lamps, fans, typical dorm room items in their rooms. Many have been left unclaimed. Will these be available through the reuse recycle program? If so, should families hold off on purchasing items like these?
We are planning on hosting re-room. As you can imagine, our team has been working very hard to connect with students to really understand what their options are and what their preferences are, given again our core value of sustainability as you can imagine, many of our students are donating a lot of their items to ReRoom. And so, yes, there will be ReRoom available for students and families to be able to check out and make purchases. And we're actively working on working with our student program coordinators who will help staff that, as well as our student services operations supervisor and our facilities team.
Let's see. Perfect. And I think just last but not least, Sandy, if you could clarify when students are required to wear masks and when they can take them off.
Sure. So all the while nationally, guidance has continued to be fluid. We are also mindful of guidance with Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. And yes, there was a time in which they had indicated that that could be lifted. However, they still identified that the best recommended practice was to continue with masking, and therefore we have not lifted that requirement indoors. What has been lifted is outdoors. And so students can expect that coming into the fall, we will continue to mask indoors. And that includes even for move-in, that we will be masking indoors. We will be masking in offices and classrooms, events and programs, regardless of vaccination status. Within the dining hall, students, so long as though they're not consuming, food or their meal, they will be masking as they enter, with the exception of when they're consuming their food.
So I think that's a good place to start, or to stop, actually. So I just want to thank everyone so much for joining us. Again, if you have any additional questions that my office can sort of find answers to, we'd be happy to do that. So you can just contact us directly at engagement@pitzer.edu. I also want to take this moment to thank Dean Emoto and Dean Vasquez and Vice President Marchant for joining us today and giving up a little bit of their time to answer some of these questions. So again, we're so excited to welcome you all to our community this fall, and just know that we are a resource for you in the interim and for ever, essentially. I think a lot of what we're excited about is getting to know you and your student and to welcome them to our Pitzer community. So thank you again so much for joining us. And I hope to see most of you during our virtual orientation, August 16th through the 19th. Take care, everyone.